Maturing into a man, you come to realize that most women never really liked or loved you, and they just liked what you could do for them in the moment. And it's just the unfortunate truth.
But isn't it fascinating that God has to tell men to love their wives and be not bitter against them? Isn't it fascinating that God has to tell women to admire and submit to their husbands? Isn't that fascinating that God has to tell that? Why does he have to tell that? Because it don't come natural. Because there's going to be a natural temptation for a man not to love his wife and to be bitter against her. There's going to be a natural temptation for a woman not to want to yield to her husband and not to want to admire him.
Welcome back to the channel. You see the information on the screen. Let's get into it. The Bible says directly, men, love your wives as Christ loved the church. That's really important, that Christ loved the church. Okay, side of it. I'm not going to get too deep into this video in that part. Okay, but then there's this other part, not just the whole women submit to your husbands, because it says in another passage, talks about women respect your husbands. Okay, it says men love your wives, but then it'll come back and it'll say, okay, wives respect your husband. See, one of the problems I have with men, and I know this is very controversial because again, there's other things in the Bible that talk about wisdom and understanding and how people kind of shut their ears when they really don't want to listen to the truth, okay? Or a deeper understanding about what really goes on in the world. But I've come to recognize that it's not necessarily about what is in a woman's mind. It's more important about what she does, okay? I don't really care as much about her feelings on a matter. I only really care about, okay, how does she treat me? How does she act? How is she walking around? What is she doing? Is she cheating on me? Is she good to me? Blah, 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 all those types of things. And one of the problems with, again, I think a lot of modern men is that they've been taught, I'm just being real, they've been taught in a very feminine way. They're seeking love from women. The only person that is going to truly love you is God. Okay? And outside of God, you know, your mom, your dad, you know, hopefully for many of you, your dad, and then, like I say, maybe siblings. Outside of that, you know, people that are close to you have that, you know, familial bond, you know, type of deal. Women don't have to love you, guys. They don't. And many of you are very caught up in that desire to have a woman to love you. And a lot of the arguments that go on in social media are men seeking love from women. And what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is that is not something you should be overly worried about. And you say, why? How? What are you talking about? I want to get married. I want this. I want that. And what you're talking right now is nonsense. Is it nonsense when the Bible says it? How is it nonsense? See, men that have become before you, men that have lived literally thousands and thousands of years ago, figure it out. Okay, and like I say, this is not just in the Bible. You can actually find other sources, you know, of people in deep, high-level thought. As they looked at the world and considered it, one of the first things that they kind of understand is the average woman does not love the men that she's with. In fact, I was watching, I had to go to the dentist recently, and as I was sitting there waiting for my checkup, I was actually watching Family Feud, you know, with Steve Harvey. And they actually asked all these women, they asked like, you know, 100 women or whatever it is, and they were like, okay, name an attribute about men that starts with the letter S. And they had 8 things, you know, that were up there. And all except for one were negative. They were like slob, stupid, simple, etc., etc., etc. And the reason why nobody got all of them was because almost everybody that was literally participating in the game, they were trying to be positive. So they kept coming up with positive things to say about men. But when they interviewed women, they found out negative about men. We've all looked at the different research studies that have come from different dating apps, and we find out that 20% of the men are desired and 80% are not desired. You see women all the time leveling up and having this whole thing where they want a higher level man. They never seem to be content with the man that they have. They show off their man almost like a brand new car, trying to show it off to their friends. So if their friends don't approve, they tend to not want to be with that man. See, that's not love, guys. Okay, what that is that woman looking for, like I say, that protector, that provider, that leader. And the more you are those three things, which are the things I'm always telling you all about, the more the woman respects you. And she stays with you because she respects you. But women aren't stupid, okay? Women aren't. I mean, they're very intelligent people. And so what a woman is always doing is she's analyzing, okay, can I keep this guy? Can I stay in this relationship? Okay, can I, reap the rewards, so to speak? So a woman doesn't always date too far up because she doesn't know if she can maintain it. So there's this level of respect and energy in a man that she's looking for. But then she looks at herself and she says, okay, am I pretty enough? Am I sweet enough? Am I kind enough? Do I dress well enough? Do I have too much emotional baggage? And that becomes her insecurity. And that's why a lot of men will talk about how women are so insecure, but they're insecure because they're looking at that respect system. And if you notice what women tend to want, because I've learned that women project a lot, what they want from men is to be respected by men. But God doesn't really say that. He tells us to love them because when you love them, you love different than you respect. Now, if you have love for a woman, more than likely you are going to respect her. But women work differently. If they respect you, there is a possibility that one day they might love you. And the best way I can say this is like if you look at a pet. So almost everybody understands that love for that pet. And I'm not saying that a man's love for a woman is like a man's love or a person's love for a pet, but I'm trying to give you an understanding. Okay, when you love that pet, you're loving it almost unconditionally. There's nothing that pet can do or a child can do, if you use a child, for instance, that you can, that they can really ever do wrong. You will always love them. And so when men are fully committed, they're committed to the point of death. Because we love that woman to the point of death. We'll die for her. We'll bend over backwards. We'll give her everything. But that is not how women are made. And they were honestly never really made to be that way. And that is the argument that men are making. But what I'm trying to say is that argument is worthless. You have to understand it from a woman's perspective. A woman's mind has come from a perspective where she really doesn't know where or how or any situation where she's going to be taken care of, where somebody's going to be there to protect her. So if the United States is at war, and let's say all of the men get wiped out, we're just going to say all of them. All men get wiped out, and we're going to say this another country comes in. So I'm just going to say Nigeria, just to throw something out there for fun. So now all these Nigerian men come into the United States, and the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to get rid of all the laws of the United States. They're going to replace them with Nigerian law. And then they're going to look at all these women, and now all these women, they really don't have a leg to stand on because they know, a woman knows deep down in her heart that even a big, strong woman that works out in the gym every day generally cannot go against the average man. So the average man in brute strength is stronger than the average woman that works out every day and is always, in the gym and everything like that. So there's nothing she can do. She is forced to deal with this new situation. And so now if those men come in and now it's a polygamous environment because you got all these women and they're saying, okay, well, each man, because we Nigerians, we have now won this war. Okay. And so now they're like, we're all going to take 10 wives apiece of the American women. It's not anything that any of those women can do. They're now stuck. So do these new women love this new husband? No, they don't. But the bottom line is they got to do what they got to do. but they will respect him. Because by respecting him, okay, now she's in a position where she feels like, okay, he'll take care of me. But there's no love there. Maybe love might grow, okay, but there might not be love there. There's just respect there. And see, this is what women have dealt with through generations. Generations. And this is why right now in the United States is they're starting to get rid of a lot of food stamps and a lot of welfare and a lot of things like that. There's a lot of women that are panicking because the government for a long period of time has been their husband. And because of that, they didn't have to deal with men. And look how quickly women rejected men once they got the opportunity. But again, I'm trying to get you men not to be bitter, not to be angry, not to be frustrated. Because if you want to be a powerful man, okay, a knowledgeable man, a wise man, the men of the past understood it is not important for a woman to love them. It is only important for a woman to respect them. So this is why I'm encouraging men, get out of your feelings. Stop worrying about whether or not she loves you. The only thing you need to understand, does she respect you? Look for love from God. Okay? Look for respect from a woman. Okay? And I know this is hard for many of you to accept. But again, if you're Christian and you're reading the Bible, and then, like I said, even if you're not Christian, think about the men that have come before you, the philosophers and different things like that. And almost all of those men come to a realization as they start to study women that women rarely love men. Okay? They can get into romantic notions, and the romantic notions are always leaning to a very specific group of men. Okay? So don't get caught up. Instead, be empowered. But that does not mean as a man that you're not supposed to love her. Now, you are supposed to love her, and it's okay for you to love her, and it's okay for you to treat her good. I'm not giving you something for you to go out there and treat her mean. Okay? You are supposed to treat her well, because when you stand before God, okay, you're going to make an account. Okay, the Bible talks about this. You're going to make an account of what you have done. And so he is going to say, okay, you was with Latricia. Okay, Latricia said she had a bad life. Okay, what's going on? Why'd you do it? So your job, okay, is to be good to her, to bend over backwards for her, to love her. Her job is still to be good to you. But again, let's not get caught up with what's going on in her mind, okay, as far as love versus respect. Now, I have told you guys, and again, this is going to end the video. I have told you guys in the past, okay, I want you to take over your woman's fantasies. Okay, and again, I don't have time to go too deep in this video about that. But a woman's mind is the same like a man. Okay, both men and women, their minds can be changed. Okay, people think it's etched in stone, but it's not. Okay, so if a woman has always thought that, again, dark-skinned men were the most sexy and attractive people on the face of the earth, and then she gets with a light-skinned brother and he ends up blowing her mind, okay, at that point, her fantasies are going to start to change. Okay, but you do this through conversations with her. Okay, you do this through sexual things, like I say, once you're married and different things like that. You make sure that you're her fantasy. Okay, and this is really not difficult to do. And again, old school players and pimps and men that understood women have always understood what I'm teaching you today. It's not about if a woman loves you. It's more about how she sees you as far as respect. And then the next part about it is it's important that she sees you in her fantasies, and that those fantasies are somewhat controllable. All right. So anyway, please like and subscribe. Remember, every other Thursday we do Christian conversations. Please come out for that. Also, please, if you can, follow me on TikTok. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the very next video.